Travis has a um, introductory movie that he would like you guys to see.
You folks to meet the actors who portray Travis and Mike in the film. The other man, I'm sure you'll recognize right off, is perhaps best known for his hole-in-the-head role opposite Arnold Schwarzenegger in Terminator 2. He's the cop who won't die, but melts and gets split apart, everything else. But he's here, and he's in one piece. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome D.B. Sweeney and Robert Patrick. I think they like you. I think they like you.
This is Sergeant Reynolds from Criminal Investigations calling Lieutenant Frank Waters. Are you there, Lieutenant? Over.
Because it is true. You know, truth is a little stranger than fiction, as they say. And this is a good, solid script, and I like the boys. The boys are good. You know, of course, it's their picture, and I'm just kind of supporting them. But I like it.
To really relate to Travis and Mike, you guys, you and DB had to learn how to be loggers and...
Yeah, we were with the chainsaws out there logging, and I actually nearly took out a bunch of crew guys. I was supposed to aim it at the camera this way, and the lights and everything were here, and crew guys were here. This is a huge tree, and I had it going, and I thought I had it aimed the right way, and next thing I know, it's going towards all these guys, and they're all running, they're screaming at me.
The whole energy of the cast came together pretty quickly. The first or second day we were in the room together, you could sort of look around and, you know, oh, there's Craig Sheffer, yeah, he's Dallas, and Robert Patrick was already well into his thing, and it fell together very nicely.
Hey.
Hey, bud.
We said we do a little fishing when the contract's over.
When this contract's over, yeah?
Come on, it's what we need, one of our camping trips. Some hunting, some fishing, chasing bears.
Oh, yeah, I remember. You ran that bear up that tree.
Just trying to make friends.
How come you can't make friends with Dallas?
He's just jealous I can do something he can't.
Oh, yeah? What's that?
Reading, right?
Oh, I just play a sheriff who is a real character, Sheriff Waters, and he doesn't believe a word they say. He just doesn't believe in UFOs, and also he's never had a case he didn't solve, and it really gets to him because he's going to have one he can't solve, and it really bothers him. He doesn't believe a word about any UFOs.
You expect me to believe that a flying saucer came down and took your friend away to outer space?
That's the truth, mister. That's exactly what happened.
Is it? Is it?
And you know that, Blake. Why the heck aren't you speaking up for us? Why let this man talk to us like this?
David, I will.
It seems like you're not even trying to believe us. We all saw the thing. We all saw the guy get zapped.
How about you, Mr. Dallas? You go along with that?
Oh, yeah, I go along with that.
You don't sound too sure.
Well, I'm sure.
Why don't you fellas tell Lieutenant Waters what you saw? Or what you think you saw?
It was the house that saw it first.
What about it?
Tell us about it. What'd you see? What did it look like?
It looked like a fire.
I won't be the guest of honor at the party tonight. You can find somebody.
You wait.
Wait. Party life. And I hope you have a good time. I hope they treat you right. I won't be the
What in the hell is that?
Stop, Mike! Stop the truck!
Travis!
Travis! You son of a bitch!
What the hell you doing? Get back in the truck, asshole!
Travis, whatever were you thinking about, boy?
Well, you'd have to know me back then.
What, a Hellraiser?
Well, you know, I can explain what he did. You know, about three months before this happened, we had another little experience. He jumped out of the truck to chase a bear that ran across the road. And if you can explain that, you can explain this.
I'm not like that anymore. It's just,
You're not,
you know, they're saying get back in the truck, and that was just kind of egging me on. I was scared too, but.
Hey, Mike!
Travis, get out of there! Who the hell is that? You feel that? Travis! Travis! Get the hell out of here! Get back in there! Travis! What the hell is that? He's dead! He's dead! He's dead! Oh my God! This woman's coming after us! It's gonna kill us! Come on, Travis! Stay down! Stay down! Everybody stay down!
Yeah, it's an incredible experience playing these guys, I'll tell you.
Some of these loggers came back. One did not. You did not.
I played
Your
Travis
character.
Walton.
Right.
I see the UFO, I get out of the truck, and just after what we just saw, I get zapped by a bolt of light, and I'm knocked unconscious. The other guys think I'm dead, and they take off, and then Mike realizes I've left my best friend there, I gotta go back. He comes back about 5 minutes later, and I'm gone without a trace.
The other loggers did not know what had happened to Travis, right?
Actually, we're all in the truck just going home from a work day. And we see it, we all see it. He wants to get a closer look and walks out underneath it. So the other guys that are with us in the crew cab, they all see it as well.
Yeah.
So we have like 6 witnesses.
Right.
And then as DB said, I go back with the guys and we look for him. He's gone.
And in real life, this group went back and reported him missing, maybe even dead.
Yeah, we knew he was missing. We thought he was dead. We thought he was dead. And we went back to the town and we explained to him what had happened. We knew that it was, you know, it's a wild story, but we're sharing it with them, and they didn't want to hear it.
We've been telling you the truth since the beginning. And now we're ready to prove it. We'll take your damn lie detector test. You set it up, we'll be there. You go ahead. And if any of you got anything to say about me or my crew, you say it now. And you say it to my face.
Are you saying, Phil, that all 7 of these people are lying?
I'm afraid we have to say that on the basis of physical evidence.
Meaning?
Physical evidence that should have been there, but was not. Now, you heard Travis and Mike Rogers claim that this beam from the UFO was like a grenade exploding, fire, flame, that Travis was knocked 10 feet back, and in his book he claims he hit his shoulder against the rock. When the morning after this incident allegedly occurred, when the law enforcement officers went to the site to inspect, they found all kinds of dry pine needles which, if this had actually happened, those needles would have been blasted away, they would have caught fire, they would have burned.
Why are you laughing, Travis?
Well, because this is typical of the sort of reasoning pattern this man uses in attacking all UFO cases. He's equating the absence of evidence to be the evidence of absence. That's absurd, you know, and that's actually a logical fallacy.
It's necessary for people to know just exactly what Philip Klass really is, who he really is. He's nothing more than a disinformation specialist from Washington, D.C.
Well, what's the word?
The results of one of the tests was unusual. It's inconclusive. We'll have to try again tomorrow.
What about the other ones? What's the word on them?
The process is still ongoing. We never discuss the results until all the testing is complete.
Sorry, fellas. Come back down here in the morning, 9 o'clock sharp.
No.
What?
I said no. Look, we did what we said we'd do. We came in here like guinea pigs and let you test us, but that's it. We've had enough.
I ain't coming back again.
You're saying that you're no longer willing to cooperate?
That's all we do is cooperate. No, we get back from you is grief.
Mike, we need a little bit of time on
No, Frank, I'm sick of this shit. You want to press charges? You go ahead. You do it now. We told you everything we know, and if that's not good enough, that's too damn bad, because that's all there is. Let's get the hell out of here.
What are you saying, son?
Well, Blake, my charts don't lie. You ask me, those boys are telling the truth.
I think we can be rather certain that this incident occurred, that they're not lying. What they claim happened did happen, and it's not a hoax.
The fact that I have to make the audience believe this extraordinary thing has actually happened to me, and if I can do that, it'll be a great victory for me, because it's not a matter of getting them to believe that your dog died or that your car won't start or that you broke up with your girlfriend. It's asking them to believe something quite extraordinary, you know, of biblical proportions. And that was what initially got my attention when I read the script, that central challenge of making, you know, we're not making a special effects supernatural movie, we're making a movie about ordinary people where something extremely extraordinary happens.
You know, Robert, what about you? Are you a UFO believer, generally?
Well, if I can believe I'm a Terminator, I think I can believe this. Yeah, I've had the theory, I think that Carl Sagan said it best, that we'd have to at least, you know, we can't be that arrogant not to consider that there could be something else out there. So I came into it like that. And then after I met Mike and Travis and talked to them at length about what they had experienced, I totally believe their story.
You do?
Totally.
So you believe that there are creatures out there who are far advanced technologically over us and even come and visit time to time?
I believe that these guys went through a very traumatic experience. I believe what they've told me. And as I said, going into the movie, I've always had the idea that it is a small universe. And we are a tiny speck. So we have to at least be open-minded enough to consider the probability.
Okay, for everybody, this is the anniversary. This is the 49th anniversary. Next year will be the 50th anniversary of his experience. And I've got a special person here, Jennifer Stein. She made the documentary for Travis, and I'll have her give a little bit of information of what's coming up and introduce Travis. If you'll take it, Jennifer.
Sure, I'll be very happy to and very honored to. So hello to everyone in the audience and to everyone online. And thank you very much to Richard, who has been not only a good friend to Mike Rogers and Travis, but also a really good friend to me. So I am very grateful for all your help. So Richard and I were discussing, along with many other people, Travis and Dana and Luke and other people. We've said, well, next year will be the 50th, so we should mark it. We should do something in honor of the 50th anniversary. We try to do something every year because this is a very important story, and it's important to continue to tell the story, to educate people, because Travis's story is so unique. So in honor of the experiences that these boys went through, and as a way to recognize the trauma that they experienced, and also what it tells us about the UFO phenomenon, that we are most likely not alone in the universe. So we have decided we're going to try to have a couple of screenings. Film. We know that we have one booked right now for 2025 on the actual anniversary. So that will be November 5th, 2025. We're going to have a screening at the Sedona Film Festival. We may actually do two screenings. We may do one in the afternoon and one in the evening. It's not quite clear yet what we're doing, but I hope Travis has this on his calendar and he'll be there in person to do Q&A. We also have plans for Phoenix MUFON to be doing an event the following Saturday, which will be the 8th of November in Phoenix. And we will be doing an afternoon screening and do a Q&A. Well, we probably won't screen the whole film because many people in Phoenix, part of Phoenix MUFON, have already seen it. So Travis and I will lead a Q&A, and we will probably share a couple of little film clips as we have before when we've presented together before. We'll share onboard the craft experiences that Travis had as a short little film clip and discuss that in detail, because that's really quite revealing. Travis was one of the first people to experience two different types of species or two different types of alien beings. And he also witnessed different craft on board a craft when he woke up on board a craft. Many of people in the audience know Travis's story, but if you don't, I invite you to one of those events. We are still looking into the possibility of doing something the weekend before, possibly in Pine Top or in the Snowflake, Heber, or Show Low area, possibly the weekend before, which would be Friday, October 31st, 2025, or possibly Saturday, October 1st or 2nd, which would just be, the weekend before, because the 5th happens in the middle of the week in 2025. So we don't yet have those plans in place, but we may do a film screening. If anybody in the audience knows of a local theater who would like to be involved in a screening, we'd love to talk with them because I think that would be really lovely to do in the area, and maybe even screen the film a couple times at a local theater if people are interested. So if anybody knows any contacts, you want to put that out, we're open to discuss that. It's mostly just for educational purposes. We're not, looking to put a lot of money in the bank or anything like that. It's just educate the people, and I will make myself available, and so will Travis, to do Q&A, and any other guys who are part of the crew who are able to come in, they're also invited to come. So, and we'll do our best to try to accommodate them with friends and family, and probably do a dinner or something, or we'll all meet maybe at the what is it called, the local diner, Cattleman's, maybe we'll meet there and have a group dinner, as we did a couple of years in the past as well. So, or maybe we'll meet down at Casa Romos and have dinner too in Heber. So that's sort of the plans. It's social and educational, and we look forward to connecting with the people in your audience and the people on Zoom if they're interested in attending. But it's no big, huge conferences planned, but we just want to have a couple of different events that honor and recognize Travis for sure, for, the lifelong commitment he's made to sharing his story, and to any other members of the crew who want to come in. So that's the news. And thank you, Richard, for helping to make some of that possible.
You're welcome. And I'm very grateful to be able to be part of this. And with that, are you ready, Travis?
I'm ready.
Okay, you can stand here and I'll try to get the camera on you. And of course, the microphone is in the.
Not so you'd notice.
Hey, Travis, good to see you. How are you?
Jennifer put a lot into this video. It's called, there's two videos there. The one that's called Travis is the one she did. And it was very, very thoroughly done. She visited the site, did a lot of research, personal interviews with each of the men, the lawmen that were involved. So it was a very thorough done, and it was done after we became aware that the presence of that craft had altered the growth of the trees there. And that was not anything that became apparent immediately. It came along later. We realized that it had affected the tree growth. Mike observed this increase in size. The trees were bigger than they should be. And so he took a core sample. But even then, he didn't realize that the growth effect was on the side of the tree towards where the craft had been. If you went around the circle of the clearing, the thickened rings were on the side of the tree pointed towards where the craft had been. It's quite directional. Now, Ben Hansen, he's a UFO researcher. He's a former FBI agent. He did some further research and found that the Scots pine trees in the vicinity of the Chernobyl nuclear accident had also exhibited this accelerated growth, the thickened rings. And it's counterintuitive. You would think that radiation would cause plants to wither and die or somehow inhibit their growth, but it actually accelerated the growth. And the scientific papers that he found online explained the mechanism that how the radiation increased the growth of these trees. But just to go back to the film there, James Garner really regretted playing the part of a skeptical sheriff because he believed us. And on set, a movie set, he called me into his dressing room and explained to me that he regretted playing the part of the disbeliever because he did believe me. And that was very valuable to me, you know, because a professional actor, he spent his entire year, his entire life acting. He knows that the seven of us men were not acting. We were relating something that really happened. And his daughter, James Garner only has one daughter, Gigi Garner, and she didn't know that he had made a point of calling me aside and explaining his position. So even after I got home, she made a point of calling me up and telling me just how badly James Garner felt about having to play the part of the skeptical sheriff rather than supporting all of us in what we had seen. But the tree growth factor was something that came out years later, and there were a number of things that developed over time. One thing that developed over time was this Philip Klass character. After he passed away, it came out that he had been under investigation by the FBI for selling our aerospace secrets to our enemies. They had quite a bit of material on him, and none of it was very complimentary. They had had him under surveillance for a number of years. That he was selling our secrets to Soviets and Chinese. So much for his attack on us. His credibility didn't survive his passing. It had enormous effects on all of us. At first, it was mostly negative. You know, John, one of the guys on the crew, describes walking down the street and having people yell out the window, "Murderer!" You know, they were that convinced this can't have happened. So therefore, you killed him, hid his body somewhere. And that was the theory that the sheriff and the posse were working on during the search, is that these guys had killed me and made up the most unbelievable story to cover it all up. Well, they never found a body, of course, and and I was very much alive, but every one of the crew, you know, in the movie, there's only 5 guys. There was actually 7 of us. Every one of them passed the polygraph test. More than once, actually. Alan passed more than one. But because he was such a hothead and was resented being accused of murder so much, that he went through 2 runs on the test and then jerked off all the sensors and walked out. But he passed the part that he had sat through. He came back later and did the full 3 versions. You have to go through it 3 times, and passed it. And Steve, he passed multiple polygraph tests too. You know, every time he got a new wife, he had to take a new test. But I passed 5 different polygraph tests from experienced law enforcement examiners, people who do work for the FBI, CIA, law enforcement work. And but people who think, oh, you know, forget that lie detector test stuff. You know, all you got to do is drink a 5th of whiskey and you can pass it. No, that's not the way it works. You have to register normal for the known lie test. So if you had 7 people who were accused of murdering somebody and without lie detector tests, that'd be an open and shut case. There would be who would be wondering what's the real truth here, you know? But here are a bunch of guys who weren't even close friends. Alan and I had gotten a fight that very morning, and Dwayne Smith had he'd only joined the crew 3 days before, so it wasn't a bunch of buddies and people who didn't just together for the purpose of work, and we went through something quite profound. Things came out over time that weren't made known at first. You know, a lot of the accessory information came out later. The thing about the tree growth and some other factors. And you got to take into consideration that 7 men were under a microscope for over 45 years, you know? And like I said, we weren't a bunch of buddies, but nobody departed from what happened. I will say that one guy wanted to make his memories more tolerable. So he couldn't say he hadn't seen what he'd seen, but he wanted to say that the government fooled us. But that's just so that he can say there's no such thing as aliens and I don't have to be scared at night. And if he wants to think like that, fine. You know, it doesn't make sense that it's not impossible that the government could have rigged something up, but why would they? I mean, it makes no sense. What was the craft doing there? What was their purpose? I really don't think that their intention was to capture some idiot logger dumb enough to get close. I think that for something that's unique to the rim. It was years later that I found out that the Million Rim area has the highest frequency of lightning strikes of any place in the continental United States outside of the Everglades. So right along that rim, you can walk along there and see pine trees. Constant bombardment with lightning creates something that I'd never heard of before. It's called fulgurite. It's a type of crystal that's formed under millions of degrees and millions of volts. It's a very unique crystal that has special properties. When I was on the Joe Rogan show, I mentioned that, and his assistant called up a whole array of fulgurite pictures, pretty exotic looking stuff. And ordinary crystals, aliens might be able to collect on some asteroid somewhere, but that's the only explanation I have for why they would be there on the rim, is possibly harvesting fulgurite. You can look it up, fulgurite. I'd never heard of it before.
How do you spell it, Travis?
Fulg, I think it might have an H on it.
Fulgurite?
Yeah, Urite. And yeah, crystals formed by lightning striking the ground. So that's my theory. It's just a theory. I was very concerned about negative medical effects. You know, is this am I gonna come down with cancer later? Am I gonna, you know, die from this? But turned out to be kind of the opposite. I went to work at Western Molding, his company, and at the paper mill, and for years, never called in sick one time. So as the years added up, and I was working all the overtime, I was basically working 12 hours a day. So in spite of the heavy workload, I just never had a sick day. So, you know, it could be luck. Maybe I was just a healthy person, but at least the thing I was worried about, coming down with some strange disease, didn't materialize.
have a question. Can you describe this spaceship? Did you physically could feel it?
Yeah. When I regained consciousness, I was on board the craft. Now, I was gone for over 5 days. 5 days and 6 hours. But I don't know where in that 5-day period this conscious period happened. I was only conscious for a little while, but probably not immediately. For a while, after I was returned, I thought that I was returned the same night. I didn't know how long I'd been gone. But once I figured out how long I'd been gone, I figured I must have been, dead or near dead most of that time, and probably during the first part of it. And that's what led me to the theory that the reason they picked me up and brought me aboard was not to capture me, but was to make up for my foolish getting too close to it and getting hit by this discharge of energy. I don't think that was anything like a weapon that they fired at me. I think it was some kind of a side effect of having closed the distance to the surface of that craft. And this discharge passed through my body. And in the film, it looks like this beam comes on, holds the actor for a while, and then throws him back. But that's because they didn't want people to miss it. It was just boom. It was just, well, from what they described to me, it was just a blast of energy, a blinding bolt of lightning that threw me back through the air. And it was so violent that they thought immediately I was dead. They said they started screaming, "He's dead, he's dead." And so, when people criticize these guys saying they were being cowardly to run off like that, but there was no point in getting anybody else killed. If they thought I was already dead, the smartest thing for the boss to do is to get everybody to safety. It's only after he got down the road a ways and got a grip on himself that he decided we got to go back. We got to see if we can save him. And in the movie, he offered to let the crew wait beside the road, which they did, and then he went back alone. But when Mike made that offer, nobody volunteered to wait alone in the dark. That did not happen. They all said, "No, we'll go with you." So, the offer was made, but they all went back with Mike, and they were all just, they said, in a huddle close to each other while they made the search, looking for footprints and any sign of my body, and were unable to find anything. And several of the guys broke down, cried, and that was one guy's problem with the whole thing. He's come up with this thing later. "No, I never cried. I want you to take that out of the book." And he was the youngest guy. I mean, the crew boss was crying. So, there's no shame in that. It's the impact of what they had experienced that
Did you suffer any burns?
Oh, that's another thing. Our UFO skeptic there was saying that the pine needle should have caught fire. Well, it didn't catch my shirt on fire either. It was whatever the energy was, it physically threw me through the air about 15 or 20 feet, but my shirt was not burned or no holes in it or torn or anything from that experience. So yeah, it was rocky ground and there were pine needles there, but I don't think the blast of energy hit the ground, it hit me. So
another question. You were conscious. Did you see beings.
Yes, I saw
What did they
beings.
look like?
Well, they look like aliens.
No,
People
they
describe
got these
this.
little green men themselves.
No little green men. I don't think anybody sees green men.
I know.
They were kind of grayish white, and they had large eyes, but I think they distorted that for the sake of the movie there too. I think they went into their prop closet and dug out a bunch of stuff, and they just totally made that section up.
They look human.
There were some, you see, I started fighting them immediately. I was not going to cooperate with these monsters. And so they left and came back. Well, what came back was what I thought was a human being. Now, whether they went and got help from somebody that was human, or was somehow able to simulate a human, it was somebody that I was going to cooperate with, and my life depended on that. So they bring the human comes back, takes me out of there. I'm only too welcome to be rescued by this human-looking being. No words exchanged. I was just babbling all kinds of stuff, but he wouldn't answer anything. But he had a helmet on, so I thought maybe he couldn't speak with the helmet on. But I think at least that was a strategy to get me to cooperate. Because if I didn't cooperate, whatever repairs that they were doing on that table there, I terminated. I was fighting them, and I wasn't going to cooperate. I felt like something was terribly wrong inside. I felt injured, weak, and really discombobulated. But the only way they were going to get me back under control was with something that I would trust, something that looked human. Now, whether it was actually human or maybe they got cooperation with some Earth agency, I don't know, because I was the one carrying on, yelling and saying all kinds of things, but I never got any reply from them.
Did you ever see it take off after you got out?
After they dropped me off, I saw a light above me, and I looked to see where the light was coming from. And it went off just as I looked, like a light turned off or a hatch closed, something like that. But anyway, suddenly it was dark, but still a silvery disc shape that shot up into the sky. And it was quiet this time. It was not making that incredible growling, weird sound that it had made when we encountered it in the woods.
Was it on the ground when you first seen it?
It wasn't setting on the ground, but it was probably not much higher than the ceiling here. It was very close by. We could see it very clearly, perfect in its form, and generating this bizarre energy, this charge that I think ultimately discharged through me.
Travis, there's discrepancies of what was the actual phone booths. People are saying different places, and where do you think you were dropped off?
I was dropped off up the hill where I could see the lights of Heber down below. And it's a perfect place. There's no place in Snowflake where they could have come down and dropped me off. But outside of Heber, the steep canyon edges had it to where from their position, they could see me all the way to the phone booth, but no one could see them. And
I think he was asking, the phone booth was at a gas station.
Did you walk to it from where you for a long
so I
way?
came down in, ran down into the town, pounded on some doors down that way, and nobody came. So I came to the phone booth that's there by Casa Ramos, and it is the phone booth. I went into the one on the end and it was out of order. So I went into the middle one and it worked. Now, our famous UFO skeptic said, oh, Travis was never at any phone booth. He was hiding in some cabin somewhere. No, the operator listened in on the phone call, reported it to the sheriff, and he sent men over there to fingerprint the phone booth. But it was the middle of the night, so they didn't get there in time. But still, it was the middle phone booth. And here a few years back, I was commenting on the fact that the middle phone booth was missing. The phone was missing from the phone booth. And the local guy that works for the phone company says, well, I've got another payphone in the maintenance shed over here. And so he went over there to get it, and he unlocked the coin box. And all of the money in there was pre-1975. So I think that's the phone that I called on. And he installed it in the phone booth there. And none of them work. But they're a monument. But I think the original phone booth is in that middle phone booth. Now, Casa Ramos and the mechanics maintenance shop there sort of had a tug of war over the phone booth. And finally, the mechanics wrapped a chain around it and dragged it over closer to the mechanic shop. That's how that dent got in the side. That's not original. But somebody came along and stole the sign that says phone up on top. If I can ever find another one of those, I'll replace that one.
Was there ever any conversation?
A one-sided conversation, me screaming and babbling, begging, and no response whatsoever. And I can see why. I can see why.
How old were you at the time?
Pardon?
How old were you at the time?
I was 22.
Can I interject, Travis?
Yes.
To help a little bit. I was going to tell the audience that for those who have not seen the film, they can actually see it for free now on YouTube. It is up on YouTube with permission from the distributor. They have put it up there, and it's got ads in it, but people can watch it. And if they're interested, some of the questions they're asking you have been we have short little film clips of that, and those are online and people can watch them. So it's at the website for the film, which is called Travis, The True Story of Travis Walton. So if people, I'm sorry, the name of the website is traviswaltonthemovie.com. I was giving it.
It's 90 minutes long. Nobody else puts that much into it. It was she made a 90-minute film, very thorough. Everybody involved had something to say there. There's another documentary called what's it called? I've got copies of it here. It's pretty thorough too, and it's a 90-minute. But those two are rare.
That was Unsolved Mysteries. Unsolved Mysteries did a special.
Yeah, I think that was the name of it.
Yeah.
Oh, it was called The Abduction. Yeah.
Do you remember where the abduction took place? Was it on 300 Forestfield?
Yeah. It was the 300 road. You go out of Heber, and the shortest way up to the rims, and the contract was bordered by the road that goes out of Heber and the 300 road. That was two of the boundaries on the contract.
So it would be 487 road. It goes up to the rim road, the 300.
I'm not sure of the name of the road now.
It goes from Legacy Ranch.
Yeah.
Goes up to 300.
Yeah.
About half a mile before, right?
Well, you have to be aware there was a forest fire that went through that area and wiped everything out. So,
Two forest fires,
two
actually.
forest fires. So it changed things.
But also, I will add to that comment about the forest fire, that enabled us to be able to see the rapid tree growth in the way that we were able to see it when Ben Hansen, Travis, and I went back in 2014 just to do further investigation. And we were filming at the site just in case we discovered anything of significance, we could put it in the documentary. And since all the trees had been burned and were now cut at waist high stumps, we could look down on the trees as if they were tabletops and see the rapid tree growth. And that's when we went, oh my gosh, look at this. Not only was there some rapid tree growth, but it was epicentric to the center where the craft had been. And that's what we were able to add in to the upgraded version of the film that we came up with in 2017. We made it first in 2015 and we had to remake it because there were some rights issues with some of the archive footage we used.
Illustrations in the book assumed that the trees were growing uniformly. We didn't know it was directional until later, and it was pointing towards the craft all the way around the clearing, which was much more significant.
Travis, can you describe what you saw while you were in the craft? Was there other crafts in there?
I regained consciousness. I was lying on my back. I was in a lot of pain. It was very dimly lit. There was a light above me. It wasn't all that bright, but it was still hurt my eyes to look in that direction. I could see blurry figures around me who couldn't really focus my eyes. I thought these were the doctors that I'd been taken to the hospital. And then when I could finally focus, I could see these creatures, and that's when I just freaked out and started to fight back.
You're calling them creatures. Describe them.
Well, they were humanoid beings, 2 arms, 2 legs, hairless, small, huge eyes. They didn't speak, but I have a theory about that too. I think that a lot of people seeing these creatures perceive them as threatening because of their expressionless, no expression. But if they're telepathic, they don't need facial expression. So between each other and between the humans that they're sending these telepathic messages, they don't need to express anything with their faces. The telepathy is richer and much more detailed than any facial expression could be. That's a human trait, kind of primitive by comparison.
Did they cut on you or anything like that?
I had a puncture wound on my right arm, but it was not over any major blood vessel, the doctor said. So probably just something that happened at work the day before it that happened. And they went over every inch of my body to see what. Oh, that was another Hollywood fiction. A lot more exciting. Naked Travis come up to a couple in the car and they're naked and they start screaming and I start screaming. It didn't happen. I didn't encounter any couple in the car. Oh, that little scene was much worse too. They cut a lot of that out, the naked couple.
Travis, what's your feeling like? Do you feel threatened now? Like, say if they would come back, do you have a good feeling?
I'm working on trying to have a good feeling about that. You know? My son and my girlfriend and I encountered a craft coming back from California, and Luke was driving. He said, "Dad, should I pull over? I said, no, keep going. And I'm so disappointed in myself because I wish that I had stopped and taken a picture. This was so incredible. This thing was like a quarter of a mile across. It was huge, very low, very close to us. But
that was a triangular shape.
It was triangular, had a light on each corner. But I don't think it was a light like, don't run into me. It was like some kind of thing was providing lift. It had a kind of a shimmer to it. And so if it was some a government experiment, they were trying to get me to say, hey, there's giant triangular UFOs that the aliens are driving. Either that or they were just saying hi because they stopped right over the top of us, turned 90 degrees, and shot off towards the Pacific. And the speed that this thing was traveling, nothing we have can go that fast, period. Nothing can decelerate and accelerate that fast that I know of. So if it's a secret weapon, it's a well-kept secret. How do you keep something that gigantic?
Has
secret.
government been leaving you alone? I mean, you feel like you're less harassed than you were years ago?
I think they monitor. They probably spy on me, but I've had a few people come by, people that work for NASA and that kind of thing, but I don't think there's any sinister intent there. They're just people who are in the aerospace industry, and they're curious and want to discuss things.
I have a question. Did you believe, which you were 22, did you believe in aliens before this opportunity?
Yeah, I did. I thought, people that think we're alone in the universe, come on, good grief. Even now, our most recent telescope, they pointed it at the emptiest spot in the sky, and they see thousands, hundreds of thousands of galaxies, entire galaxies, like the Milky Way. Now, just billions upon trillions of stars, and people who say, no, we're all there is. There's no life anywhere in the universe. It's just right here and nowhere else. To me, that's what's preposterous. Now, there's so many of them. The question is, Fermi paradox is, well, if they're coming here, where are they? How come they're not landing on the White House lawn and wanting to shake hands and say, okay, let's do some technology exchange. Here's some free leap forward in science. I don't think that is the order of what they're doing. I think that the sightings that people have are intentional, not accidental. People, it's not like, oops, dang, human spotted me again. Gotta have to be more careful next time. No, I think they're letting themselves be seen. It's just a glimpse on the edge of something that's going to be hugely disruptive. But it's just a kind of a constant reminder, kind of a hint that, yeah, we're here, but we can't come down here and hand you free energy. That would destroy us. And so many people think, oh, if we could just get the government to give us their secrets that they have, open the files for us. I don't think that would be a good thing.
Travis, excuse me. Do you feel like they monitor you from time to time?
Yeah. Oh,
feel their presence?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
that's, I used to think I had the anthill theory. You walk by an anthill and you say, I think I'll stop and have a conversation with that ant right there. I said, we're not going to do that because ants are so far beneath us. And that was my theory about aliens. But now I think that they are keeping track. We have computers in the Utah data center that are recording every electronic communication on the face of the earth. And if mere humans can keep track of that much data, the aliens probably can too, and probably in their head. So if you saw one when you were 8 years old and you saw one as an adult, they probably know it's you. Because it matters. So yeah, that's a whole different take on it that I have now, but compared to what I used to have.
What was your take on Colonel Korsakov? I mean, he had a lot of good info, right?
I don't comment on any other cases because that traps me into picking them all off one at a time. Yeah, here's a good case, here's a bad case, here's one. So I don't judge any cases. I'll say this though, I think there are other cases, good, solid cases, but they're rare. I think probably a majority of the cases that we hear about are misidentification. People think they misidentify something. They think it's an alien craft, and it could be many things, but it's not, in my view, just routine for these beings to interact with humans. I did something very unexpected, got myself injured, and wound up having an extended contact that probably wouldn't have happened if I'd have just stayed in the truck.
Travis, one of the interviews you did, you brought up something I've only heard once from you, where you had a pregnant girlfriend who had a 4 months in, fetus was missing.
Yeah,
You think there's a
but,
little alien
that
Travis
happened,
somewhere?
but what can I say? I tried to stick to things that I can document, but you know, there's the medical records. I was in the doctor's office, observed the both ultrasounds, both before and after, and the baby just disappeared.
You think there's a little Travis somewhere, a little alien Travis happy?
What did you say about the baby?
It disappeared.
She was pregnant.
Yes.
Do you think you were taken to another planet? And it coincided with you seeing a craft. You said you were on a road, you guys got out, you saw a craft.
Yeah.
And next thing you know.
She was with me when we saw the giant black triangle. And she says, she's probably right, that we had missing time on the way home that night.
Oh.
You said something early, very early on, that was kind of interesting, it caught my attention. When you said that whatever that crystal that you were saying, the name for that crystal?
Fulgurite.
Fulgurite? Did you think that maybe they were looking for that up in the Magellan Rim?
Yeah.
That was possibly created.
That's my theory.
By the lightning and stuff?
Yeah.
Have you, or do you know anybody that has located any of that?
No, I've seen samples of it from around the world, but I don't know about any locally.
For example, what would the agency or research group that was for sample, right? At the Cleveland Road.
That was maybe Jennifer could respond to that, but that was researched by a number of laboratories, and the thickness of the rings were to the point where, well, you can see an illustration in my book. The first half of the tree's diameter is very tiny growth rings. And then suddenly they're 10 times that big.
I can respond if you'd like me to, Travis.
Yes, go ahead.
According to the Chernobyl documents that Ben looked up, Ben determined that radiation causes 33.3% rapid tree growth. And from the Poland University, rapid tree growth can occur from sunlight, but it's only like a 10 to 15% rapid tree growth, not 33.3%. And the trees in the forest epicentrically around where the craft had been had rapid tree growth at 33.3%. So it was very extended. Looking at the tabletop tree stumps, we could really see it clearly, and we could also really clearly see the directionality of it. So if anyone is interested in further exploring this, we do go into it in the film. I also provided both Richard and you little short, like 3-minute, 5-minute film clips that just discuss this. They are on the website, traviswaltonthemovie.com. So people can go, they can look at the debunking page, because there are many people out there that are trying to debunk the whole story and say, you guys still made it all up. They've kind of, it's almost like Philip Glass has come back to life. I think Robert Schaefer decided he was going to try to debunk the case again, because he was so disturbed by how well received your film had been. So we put short little clips up online to answer any debunking questions if people had them. And if they go to the film site and look for debunking, they'll see these little film clips and they can go and look at them, including a very short little film clip that just addresses what exactly happened to you on board the craft. It's about a little 8-minute segment of film, and it goes through you waking up and everything that happened, the small little grays you encounter, and then you following them out of the room after you started screaming at them and when you came to, and then you encountering the human looking one, and then that one walking you off the craft across a tarmac in some sort of hangar of sorts and into some sort of medical facility, and then meeting the other human-like aliens.
I don't think the skeptics deserve to change the subject in regard to our Philip Glass. They're going to have to rehabilitate his reputation as a researcher, and the FBI file on him is pretty extensive. I've got copies of it. And large parts of it are blacked out. So it's the secret stuff is still covered up, but the fact that they were investigating him all those years, explain that before you started trying to explain away what we experienced.
Well, there are new debunkers on the scene that are trying, like we know Ryan Gordon was, and there are others now that are following in his footsteps. So people will continue to try to debunk your story always, because they want to go after the best ones. I think with the disclosure that's happening, this is just my little opinion of it for your audience that's there. Disclosure, which is happening with a vengeance, as everyone knows, and it's happening often with a spin to it, or a story, or a narrative. And that narrative is that there is a threat that we need to defend against. So that's why we need to take this seriously. And of course, whenever our governments or our military say we're under threat, they're looking for more money for the military. So I would encourage the audience to be very skeptical about what they see on the mainstream news about the UFO subject. Because of that, anyone who has had personal contact, like you have, Travis, and like Kathleen Martin did, those people who have stories that are sort of unpenetrable, those are going to be attacked because they don't want people to have contact. And so many people are having contact now, whether it's a conscious experience or a spiritual experience. So that's why this story continues to be heavily debunked. And I commend you, Travis, and the audience should know this, because you have never changed your story in 40 years. Neither has any of the members of the crew really changed their story. They have been offered bribes like Steve Pierce was, and they have been manipulated, like I think Mike Rogers was a couple of years back, by probably Ryan Gordon, maybe, to be confused about some of the details or to have his audio tapes manipulated like Philip did a lot. But these boys have never changed their story, and this story has ruined most of their lives for certainly their reputations, and many of them didn't even want to talk about the subject, and I don't blame them. So
well, my girlfriend that was mentioned, I wished it hadn't been, but she's debating whether to report it, write it up and record it. There's still physical evidence from the doctor's office. And she's a credible person. She has a high security clearance at the National Laboratory. But I'm waiting on her to decide fully whether to come out with it or not. But, I respect her privacy. And
can I visit the site? I've been exploring back in there, and I think I was at it, but I don't know for certain. Is there like specific directions or maybe something on the website? Or
well, I've discouraged people from going to the site just because it's gonna just the wear and tear on the site could distort the evidence that might not have been discovered yet. Something that we're still looking for. We did go back with Ben Hansen with the Geiger counters, and apparently the radiation that caused the rapid tree growth had dissipated, but it was definitely evidence that it had been there.
There's a rare mineral out there that during the Korean War, they mined it all through Forest Lakes. And it's very rare. They use it in aircraft. I don't know the name of
That could
it.
be an explanation there.
That's probably the manganese.
Not manganese, that's not the name.
Well, that's what Forest Lakes, why it's there. It was a manganese mine.
Maybe it was, okay.
And when the guy got the patent on the land, he sold it and turned it into Forest Lakes.
Yeah, it's the only thing the Forest Service ever lost, was that lawsuit.
But certain minerals are always accompanied by other certain minerals. They just kind of naturally go together. So could have been something else that goes along with manganese, but I don't know. But that's
in the
interesting.
book you had mentioned, when the guy with the helmet led you out of the thing, you were in a hangar. Where do you think this hangar was?
I don't know whether it was an actual hangar on Earth or on
a bigger craft, a mothership.
Yeah, or something like that. I couldn't see outside. The glow from the panels overhead looked like natural sunlight, but I couldn't see outside, so I don't know whether it was
you were brought to another ship, or I guess you said that the lady came up and put you out.
Yeah, because I was, at that point, I wanted an explanation. Come on, what is going on here? What is all this? And they weren't going to share any of that with me.
Question, you think they release oxygen just like us?
Yeah, the oxygen, when I first woke up, I was breathing with difficulty, but I was injured too. So I don't know whether it was just being injured or the heavy humidity and a denser atmosphere inside the first craft.
Do you think people were reporting more UFO sightings in the 1970s than they do now?
I think people are more willing to come forward because there's less stigma attached. The government decided, we keep saying the people that report this stuff are wackos, but that's just making us seem like wackos, because nobody's. So now they've switched to admitting that there's something there, but saying they don't know what it is. But I argue that they're justified in not spilling the beans and telling everything they know. Because the Chinese and the Russians have recovered material too, and if as soon as they find out what we've got, then we've lost the strategic advantage. As long as they're wondering just how much we have, it's probably for the best.
I'll interject real quickly with that question because Cheryl Costa has written a book on reports of UFOs, and she has them organized by state and by county, and they are definitely on the rise. They are not dropping off, and more have been reported. Far less were reported at the time when your case happened, 1975. That was not that common to report, and there wasn't a really good place to report them. So
follow or try to see if you can recover any more memory, say hypnosis.
Hypnosis.
I did some hypnosis and it was pretty traumatic. I didn't pursue it.
How many times have you had encounters in your life?
Well, I try to stick to the sightings and things that I can document that other people, when my girlfriend and my son saw that big giant triangle, we found out the next morning that 15 other people reported, and independently, it's all set up on maps with little circles and numbers. 15 other people saw the same thing that night. And I'm hoping that one of them wasn't too scared to take a picture.
Do you remember what year that was?
What year was that? 2014.
Travis, what color was the lights on that triangle?
On the triangle, it was kind of a strange color. It was a pinkish orange. I mean, it wasn't a straight white light. It wasn't just the source of light was embedded in the surface of the craft. And it had a strange shimmer to it, the way flames would if it was a jet engine, but it wasn't blue. It was this weird pinkish orange.
I was actually wondering, what year did you see the triangle?
Yeah,
That was
2014. And that's when the baby disappeared.
Can you please tell me if it's by the Turkey Springs area? I know you want to.
Oh, definitely. Turkey Springs is on the contract that we were working.
So in that general area, I know you don't want to tell me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you or anybody close to you after the fact experienced like lost in time or like what people describe as sleep paralysis, where you wake your eyes open but you can't move, or lost in time, or you end up somewhere?
I've heard reports like that. People share their experiences with me.
Are you afraid to go back to the same spot at night?
I try not to.
Did they give you food and water while you were on board the craft?
No, I don't remember being given food and water, but my weight was the same. So I'm assuming there must have been some way, unless it was some kind of suspended animation thing going on. I don't know if I was like basically dead until they revived me.
General feelings, all these years later, all this time to reflect on it. As far as them wanting contact or whatever, do you have a feeling as to whether there's malintent or was positive or?
I think that most of these interpretations of them as threatening or invaders or something like that, I don't see it. They've been around for decades and decades. If they wanted this Earth, we'd never know what hit us. You know, they could, if they just wanted to eliminate the humans, I'm sure with their science, it'd be an overnight thing and we wouldn't know what hit us.
Some people have a theory that, you know, maybe extraterrestrial life forms, whatever, may have altered primate DNA. You know,
That's one theory, yeah.
And then that's how we came about.
Yeah.
Do you have any feelings or thoughts?
Well,
on that?
that's, there's actual evidence in the molecules themselves that they've been tampered with or altered in a sudden way. That the changes that occurred were not gradual, they were modifications, but these are theories that are being developed right now.
I'll comment on that if I can.
Go ahead.
The person in the audience may want to research and speak with geneticists on that, because human DNA does have one of our chromosomes which is split and overlapped. And the only way to do that is with complex genetic engineering. It does not happen naturally with other species. So there's a lot more coming out about that now. Zach Sitchin wrote about it extensively, and I used to study with Zach. And there are Sumerian records that claim that that in fact did happen, which is where these theories come from. But I think it's not something out in the mainstream, or maybe something that maybe the powers that be or those that are trying to keep it secret necessarily want us to know. But I would encourage her to do some research on what's natural in our genetics. And she may discover that it is not natural how one of our genes is that way. And the only way it could have come into our genome is to be entered in with a virus. And that was 250,000 years ago, according to geneticists. So I don't remember the specific ones that have written articles on it, but there are specific papers out there on it. So if she Googles it, she'll find it.
Well, you're talking about the trees that have that growth. You think that means that craft was just sitting just there and not cruising around?
Yeah, it was just, it was just stationary.
Probably quite a while.
Yeah.
To be able to do enough to affect trees like that.
Yeah.
I'd like to throw something out there. What happened to you, to me, is as simple as you got too close to a metal object and got zapped by a static charge.
Yeah.
On the surface of that.
Something like that.
Is that possible?
Yeah, that's possible.
I think it's pretty easy.
And that can be fatal, you know.
It could be, and
now what are we gonna do?
they
Just
don't
leave him
necessarily
dead there? You
trying
know?
to get rid of you or capture you, but some people believe some aliens are, what's the word, ambivalent, beneficial to us. There's some, you know, on all sides. But once you were injured, their goal was help.
Well, I think the fact that they fixed me up probably indicates that they did not want to leave that as their marker, that they had killed some logger.
Well, I don't think they did. I think it was physics that just zapped you off of that.
But it would be interpreted that way. The guys thought, I mean, they said as soon as that blast hit me, they said it got him. So they were just, they saw it come out of the craft and hit me and throw me through the air. They just concluded that they had fired something at me.
Did it ever occur to you they might want to come back to visit you?
Yeah, they might want to. I hope I can have the fortitude to keep my cool and ask good questions.
One other thing, Travis, you had mentioned in your book, when you hit them, they just went flying like they were hollow or.
Yeah, they were really light. They just fell back really easy. It surprised me.
You actually struck one up.
Yeah. But I was so weak, I could barely move my arm, and I went like that, and it hit the other one, and it fell back, but
You think the gravity was just different? Maybe that's.
yeah, I felt that, it's possible the gravity was too strong in there, that it was overcoming my natural.
Question, you guys were driving towards the 300 road? From Turtle Springs?
Pardon?
So you're driving towards the 300 road?
You hit the 300 road, turn left, and you go about, mile or so.
Were you guys going up the hill then towards the 300 or coming down?
We were on 300. You hit the 300, turn and go for a while, and then that's where it happens.
But Travis, if I can point out, you were not on the road yet when this happened. You were going through the forest, going up.
Oh, it was
Yeah.
really pretty close to the 300.
Right. No, I know, but just to
They took off in a panic. They went up to the 300
right.
and went back towards home.
Well, at first they went up to the road and then turned the truck around and then they came back down. So when the incident happened, you were still in the Turkey Springs area. You hadn't gotten on the road. This was a big thing that they tried to use as the debunking topic. Like they said, no, you actually drove right by this fire tower, and that's in a completely opposite direction. So people can get right. They hadn't yet gotten to the road 300 when they saw this craft. They were on their way up out of the valley where the Turkey Springs area is. And it was halfway up the hill when they saw this. And then the boys, freaked out when Travis got hit and went up to the rim road, turned the truck around, and then were going to come back down when they saw the craft take off. So they knew, all of them knew the craft was no longer there. They thought they could just go back and get Travis, just to be clear.
No. Here's the road. I got out of the truck and went towards the craft.
Yeah, so you're up on the right hand side.
But I thought it was just going to take off.
Trying to find a spot.
So do you think there was any, did you feel like any power that when you got out of the car, did you feel like there was something that was bringing you to the ship, or did you automatically just
Well, I was
decide to-
mesmerized by the sight, of course. I was just, plus the guys were screaming and they were just carrying on. They were so, blown away by what I was doing that it actually made me more likely to do it.
But I mean, you didn't feel any like power to bring you there, or
No, I did not feel like I was being mind controlled. Now, one of the guys claims the reason I didn't, people come to him and go say, hey, Steve, how come you didn't get out of the truck? And he says, well, because I had a stronger mind than Travis. Travis was subject to mind control and I was resisting it. So I stayed in the truck. I said, Steve, the mind control was to keep you in the truck and I resisted it and got out. No, I don't think there was any mind control.
Well, I think most of the questions have been asked, and I want to tell everybody to keep watching. There will be some more presentations for the 50th anniversary. And I want to thank Jennifer for being with us and John Rushkamp.
She said if we knew that we might be able to help her, they was dead.
That's right.
Jennifer?
Yeah, if you want to ask me a question, go ahead.
What's your email?
Oh, happy to give it to you. It's On Wings, ONWINGES. Hopefully you can understand.
Don't forget the E. It's not just wings, like INGS, it's INGES.
Yeah, it's the derivation is my maiden name is Wing. It's Norwegian, Winge. Okay. So it's a Norwegian name. So what I did is put ON on the front and an S on the end. So it's ONWINGES @gmail.com.
So I thought you just had trouble with spelling.
Yes, everyone does, because I do have trouble with spelling. And they all say, oh, Jen, you spelled it wrong. So, but if anyone knows anyone who owns a theater and they are interested in screening this film with Travis to do some Q&A, I'll come up as well because I live in Phoenix now. I no longer live in Philadelphia, where I did live when we produced the film. So I'm in Phoenix and I can come in and do Q&A.
Auditorium.
Yeah, an auditorium of some sort. It might be nice. There might be a local theater that might think it a good thing to do for the anniversary. It also will be like Halloween weekend. The 31st is a Friday. Not that I'm suggesting this be a Halloween event, but it happens to be that. So next year, Friday, the 31st will be a Friday in 2025. Then Saturday will be the 1st and Sunday will be the 2nd. So we could do anything in that time period. And we may actually put a one-day conference together. I'm planning to come up and speak with Richard, and we might investigate another location or a site and, try to do something. We have a couple speakers who have agreed to already come and present, like the Navajo Rangers, both Stan and John have offered to come and present. And I think we'd probably be able to get a number of wonderful people who would like to come in and just present for, a little bit. I have 4 or 5 speakers for the day, and then maybe have a group that goes to a restaurant for dinner or something. So we may put something like that together, but right now we don't have a venue for that. We tried to arrange the college in Snowflake. Is it called the
NPC?
Thank you. Yeah, North Pine something or other.
Pioneer College.
Right. So we tried to set that up, but they just would not commit a year in advance, and they had some kind of college performance, some sort of theatrical performance going on, and the stage would be filled, and they couldn't lower the screen for us, so we couldn't book to use that site, but I was willing to book it and plan a one-day conference and a Friday night screening, but we weren't able to get it. So if anyone knows of anything that they'd like to suggest, we're open to working with anybody. So.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rich.
And thank you for Jennifer for coming on. That was fantastic.
My pleasure. Have a great night. I'm going to hit the sack because I'm flying out early tomorrow morning to Canada. So,
okay. Well,
good
have a
night.
Good night.
Good night.
Huh?